Do I look okay? Do I need to fix my hair? So my name is Sophie Gloa, and my mother's a francophone. My first language is French, but my father's American, so we really spoke both languages in my house my whole childhood. My mother spoke to us entirely in French, and my father exclusively in English, so we really kept the two languages separate.
All right, my name is Kevin McDermott, and I was born in 1979. I grew up in a town called Lévis. It's a small town on the south shore of Quebec City, right across the St. Lawrence. When I spoke with my mom, I was always speaking French, and when I spoke with my dad, always speaking English. So that's how I was raised from a young age. I actually had a conversation with a friend today at work about that, is that I don't consider that I have a primary language. The question like mother tongue that you have on whatever forms that you have to fill out, I don't have an answer for that. It's French or English. Like I learned both at the same time and never had to learn either, meaning I just started speaking both.
All right, my name is Carl Gaylor. I was born in July 24th, 1984 in Val David, and I'm quite bilingual and always have been.
My full name is Jane Leslie Howlett. I was born in 1985 and my first language is English.
Donc mon nom c'est Anne Légaré-Côté. Je suis née en 1984 à Montréal. J'ai grandi à Sainte-Thérèse et à Mont-Tremblant. Ma langue maternelle c'est le français.
Simon Edwards-leroux, English. I was born in 1987, March 27th. I grew up in Val David.
Okay, my name is Urquhart Belliars. I grew up in Montreal. I was born in 1971, and my first language is English.
My full name is Shane Alexei Olshenko Grin. Born in 1983 in Montreal. My heritage on one side is Polish-Jewish and on the other Belarusian, but having lived in Montreal since at least the 20s.
What do I do for a living? I'm going to say I'm an artist.
I'm a professional musician.
I work, I do manual labor.
Yeah, I'm doing a class in auto mechanics. I'm enjoying it.
I'm an activist. I'm proud of it. I'm very much like what my mother was.
I'm an artist, but I've always been working in education as well. So I worked at a daycare for 7 years, and I taught English for a while, and now I'm tutoring at an English CEGEP. So I've always been balancing the art and working in education.
Also, I do a lot of public speaking. I speak at different events. I get invited to universities sometimes. I'm asked to speak about Native issues.
I work at a little electronics shop, privately owned in Sénégal. I just do just about everything. I'm a troubleshooter, technician, installer, salesman, do customer service, just everything that needs to be done around the shop. We're not a whole lot of people, so we got to be pretty not too specialized.
I do a lot of freelance work. I'm at CKUT. I've had a show there for over 5 years called Native Solidarity News, and I talk about a lot of the issues facing First Nations in Canada.
Je suis serveuse dans les restaurants, j'ai été barmaid aussi. Je fais de l'assistante gérance aussi dans des bistrots.
I also have an online blog, urquhartbelliars.com.
Not necessarily. I mean, I was raised Catholic by my parents. My mother being raised very Catholic from Quebec, the French portion. My dad, on the other hand, being from Scotland, immigrated to Canada, completely atheist and not believing in that stuff. So eventually I kind of made up my own mind about that stuff. So raised Catholic. So if I had to identify with one religion, yes, Catholic, but not so much these days. Otherwise, I'm as Québécois as I would be anybody else, except that I have a father who's from Scotland.
Ben, plus ou moins, mais je pense que c'est une question de perception. Évidemment, j'ai une grande fierté d'être une Nord-Américaine qui parle français dans un monde anglophone. Ça pour moi, c'est vraiment une fierté. Maintenant, puis de continuer surtout à garder ce langage-là, même si ça se perd un petit peu, on continue quand même à avoir du français, ce qui est bien. Mais j'ai pas d'appartenance à ce groupe-là. Je me sens pas particulièrement attachée au groupe culturel du Québec.
I wasn't raised in a very religious household, though we did celebrate both Christmas and Hanukkah and the high holidays. We had holidays on both sides, so it was more of a cultural education than religious beliefs and practices. There are several different Jewish communities in Montreal, depending on the level of orthodoxness. We did go to a Reform synagogue from time to time. My brother and I did have our bar mitzvahs. I don't think we're very active in that community. Only just tangentially related to it.
I guess you could say that I'm part of an Anglophone community in Montreal, but I wouldn't necessarily say that because it would separate me from saying that I was part of the Francophone. I consider myself to be part of both to a certain extent, I guess.
I'm part of a cultural community. I'm Métis, I'm half Mohawk and half Belgian, so yeah, I definitely identify more with the Mohawk culture. I do a lot of work with First Nations communities, so that's my thing. Well, my mother was a Duplessis orphan, but my grandparents were originally from Ganawagi. My mother never let me leave the house knowing who I was. She drilled it into me. She made it clear that you're a Mohawk, you're part of the Turtle Clan. Remember that. This is who you are, and you should treat people as such. Treat them with respect.
So growing up, I really felt more Francophone. My father was always on the road, and I really spent all my time with my mother, so I really felt Francophone. But now, I've been to Cégep in English and University in English. Most of my friends are Anglophones, and my boyfriend's an Anglophone, and I definitely would say that I belong more to the Anglo-Montreal cultural group than the Francophone Montreal cultural group. Yeah.
Not particularly. Maybe cultural. I don't know, a mix between Canadian or Quebec culture.
My grandfather on my dad's side is from Vienna in Austria. I mostly identify myself with Austrian culture more than any other culture in Canada.